Number 2, terrible advice that people give to home buyers. My name is Melanie Beran with Wyatt Properties. We are doing a series on terrible advice that people give to home buyers. I don't know why people say these kinds of things. A lot of times these are people who are not in the real estate industry, or it's your great aunt that has her license but hasn't sold anything in 20 years. So no offense to your aunt, maybe she makes great cookies, but you need to make sure that you're getting accurate, modern, contemporary advice from people who are working in the industry. So make sure, if you didn't, that you get to the last video. I'm not sure, I can never tell which side it's going to go on. That was part 1 of the series, Terrible Advice People Give Home Buyers. This is part 2, and we are going to talk about people saying, well, yeah, don't worry about the listing price, you can always make an offer under budget. That's true. We're going to talk about that. I forgot to tell you that you're supposed to, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want more advice like this. But so it is true that you can shop over your budget. If your lender has given you an approval for $250,000 and your friend is like, yeah, this house is listed at like $275,000, but just go look at it, and you can always offer under that. You can, but here's why I think that's terrible advice. It sucks to fall in love with something you can't have. Like, if you were in middle school, maybe when I was, like, maybe that was Justin Timberlake. I don't know. You fell in love with something you couldn't have, right? But here's the deal. If you fall in love with something that you can't have, and you overshop your budget, first of all, typically 99.99999% of the time, if they've listed that house at $275,000, they're not taking your max offer at $250,000. Especially not in this climate. That would be somewhat shocking. So they're probably not going to accept it, first of all. So that's number 1, is they're not going to accept, most likely not going to accept something significantly under the list price. And then number 2 is, well, now you have offered on it, you fell in love with it. The homes that you now see that are in your budget, you might have a really hard time falling in love with one of them and having that one be the one. And then you're just disappointed, and you're spending $230,000, $240,000 on something you don't really like. And my dad always says, if you're going to spend more than $100, get what you want. And my dad generally has good advice. So it's just, yes, you theoretically can shop $20,000, $30,000 over your budget, and you can offer $250,000 on a $275,000 house. But remember that just because you offer doesn't mean they're going to accept it. They probably aren't. They're going to choose somebody else. You're left with your heart broken because you didn't get the home that you want, and now the homes that you can afford, they're not good enough for you. Whereas if you had never looked at that one, and you had always just looked in your price range, you could have found one that you loved. So it is super important to make sure that you get pre-approved with a lender, and it is super important to not look at homes that are just way outside your price range. It's going to end up with hurt feelings and disappointment for everybody. And I really don't want that for you. So, as a real estate agent, I typically won't even show something if it's out of your price range. It's not in your best interest, and my job as your real estate agent is to protect your best interest. Sometimes that means telling you things that you may not exactly want to hear, and I can tell them in a nice way, but I still need to tell them to you. Much like this video. I'm just trying to give you the real information and not the information that you want to hear, which in this case is terrible advice that you should just shop over your price range and then submit what your pre-approval rate is. I'm Melanie Beran with Wyatt Properties, myhomeinhouston.com. I hope something really great happens to you today.